The monarch butterfly is one of the most recognizable insects in North America. Its bright orange wings are only a small part of what makes this species so fascinating. Monarchs undergo complete metamorphosis with four distinct stages: egg, larva, pupa, and adult, which allows them to shift from a leaf-eating caterpillar into a nectar-feeding butterfly. This dramatic transformation gives scientists a clear way to study cellular growth and development. The life cycle begins when a female monarch lays a single egg on milkweed leaf. She chooses milkweed intentionally because it's the only plant their caterpillars can eat, and this strict diet has shaped the monarch's entire evolution. When the egg hatches, the tiny larva immediately starts feeding and grows rapidly, shedding its skin several times as it increases in size. During this stage, the caterpillar also stores nutrients and toxic chemicals from the milkweed, which later help protect from predators. Milkweed contain carotenoids, toxins that can harm many animals, and monarch caterpillars ingest these toxins and retain them even after they become adult butterflies. Their orange and black wing pattern acts as a warning signal, a form of epistemic coloration that discourages predators from eating them. Monarch migration is one of the most remarkable natural events in insects world. Monarchs travel up to 4,800 kilometers from Canada and the northern United States to overwintering forests in central Mexico. And what makes this migration even more unique is that it's multi-generational. No single monarch completes the journey. Instead, several generations work together to finish the round trip. The generation migrates south in the fall, known as a supergeneration, can live up to 8 months, much longer than the 2 to 6 weeks of summer generation, and they store large amounts of fat to survive both the long flight and the winter period. Scientists believe monarchs navigate using a combination of a sun compass and internal circadian clock, helping them to stay oriented as the sun moves across the sky. Some research also suggests they can sense Earth's magnetic field, giving them another way to stay on course during their migration. Their physical structure supports this long-distance travel as well. Monarchs have relatively large, lightweight wings with strong wing networks that allow them to glide on warm air currents and conserve energy over thousands of kilometers. During the winter, monarchs gather in massive numbers in the Oymel forests of central Mexico. Millions of butterflies cluster together on branches, helping maintain stable temperature and humidity levels so they can conserve energy until spring. Monarchs also play meaningful ecological roles. As adults, they feed on nectar from many flowering plants, contributing to pollination across wide areas. And although they are not major pollinators like bees, their long-distance travel still supports plant diversity. Monarch eggs, larvae, and adults also serve as food source for various predators, adding to overall biodiversity. Monarchs are widely used in scientific research as well. Their predictable migration, distinct life stages, and sensitivity to environmental change make them valuable for studying climate change, habitat loss, and ecosystem health. Since monarch populations respond quickly to environmental shifts, They are often used as indicator species to help scientists assess the condition of ecosystems across North America.
According to the International Union for Conservation of Nature, the migratory monarch was officially listed as an endangered species in 2022. They have been facing a troubling decline that has been driven by habitat loss, the impacts of climate change, and threats from predators, parasites, and diseases. Monarchs depend exclusively on milkweed to survive. It is the only place they can lay their eggs, and is the only plant their caterpillars can eat. However, across North America, both milkweed and wildflower nectar source has declined dramatically. Urban development has replaced fields and grasslands with roads, buildings, and farmland. Large-scale agriculture has removed millions of acres of natural vegetation. A major issue comes from genetically modified crops, which are resistant to glyphosate, a widely used herbicide. Due to their immunity, nearly 99% of milkweed that once grew in corn and soybean fields has now disappeared, even in backyards or along the roads. Without milkweed, monarchs struggle to find places to breed, feed, and complete their life cycle. One of the most major factors affecting monarch survival is milkweed's response to the changing climate conditions. Even if monarchs could cope with rising temperatures, they cannot survive without milkweed. Milkweed is losing its natural habitat, and if it dries up, becomes dormant too early, or disappears from certain areas, monarchs will be forced to move into new regions and find suitable places to reproduce. These disruptions make it harder for monarchs to migrate successfully, reproduce, and maintain healthy populations. Neonicotinoid insecticides, commonly known as neonics, are chemicals that were designed to target pests. But their widespread use on agricultural crops and lawns have unintentionally made these landscapes toxic for important pollinators like monarchs. For monarchs, the exposure to neonics can impair their development and cause deformities, which directly compromise their welfare by altering their environment and increasing the risks they face throughout their life cycle. These insecticides and pesticides are widely used throughout North America. They are highly water-soluble, meaning they are extremely persistent in the environment. They contaminate the soil, the groundwater, and the plants monarchs rely on. These effects accumulate over time and they're largely irreversible, which weakens entire food chains.
Another major threats come from biological enemies. Only about 10% of monarch eggs survive long enough to become adult butterflies. Many eggs and young caterpillars are eaten by predators such as spiders, fire ants, birds, and wasps. Some monarch caterpillars will even eat eggs next to them when hatching. Monarchs are also vulnerable to various parasites. One example is the tachinid fly, which laid eggs inside monarch caterpillars, eventually killing them. Monarchs are also affected by tiny pathogens, including bacteria, viruses, fungi, and protozoa. These microscopic organisms can infect monarchs at any stage of their life cycle. Research from Monarch Health at the University of Georgia showed that this disease weakens monarchs, reduces their ability to grow properly, and contribute to their population decline. Due to monarch butterfly sensitivity to changes in temperature, climate change makes this delicate creature facing distress. Predicting how monarch butterfly will respond to climate change is difficult and challenging because their survival relies on many different habitats throughout the long and complex migration. Since monarch migration is triggered by temperatures and seasonal signals, any change in this cue could throw off their timing or cause them to arrive too early or late in places where food and breeding resources are not available or no longer available. This mismatch put monarch species at a high risk. Yet, monarchs are also exceptional travelers with their strong ability to migrate thousands of kilometers. This may help them shift into areas which give them advantage. They can move toward new regions with more suitable conditions, which help reducing some negative effects of climate change. Because their migration depends on very specific environmental conditions, the extremely cold and wet winters in their overwintering sites can cause mass mortality, while hotter and drier summers in their breeding area push their suitable habitat further north. Climate change also affects the milkweed growth, the availability of nectar plants, and the weather pattern that monarchs rely on for navigation. These disruptions make it harder for monarchs to migrate successfully, to reproduce, and maintain their healthy population. Western monarch butterflies overwinter along the California coast and coastal forest growth, which has degraded over time because of development and climate change to their overwintering habitats. Genetic diversity is critical for the monarch ability to survive and adapt. Despite that, research has shown that a monarch butterfly taken from population in the west and from the east remain genetically similar. Habitat loss and population decline have reduced the overall genetic variation, which make monarchs more vulnerable to disease and environmental changes. Overall, each of these threats reduce their ability to find food, reproduce, migrate, and survive from one generation to the next. Monarch butterflies depend on a safe habitat, so protecting them means protecting the ecosystem they rely on.
All these challenges show that monarch butterflies cannot survive without human support. Their migration and habitats are too fragile to face climate change, habitat loss, and genetic decline alone. For this reason, protection efforts have become essential, linking science, governments, and communities to give monarchs a real chance to continue their journey across North America. The Mexican government has created the Monarch Butterfly Biosphere Reserve in 1986 and was expanded in 2000 to protect monarch sanctuaries. However, much of the land within the reserve is owned by communities who have relied on this wood for generations, so illegal logging still occurs. To combat this, Forest for Monarchs is a non-profit organization that supports reforestation while also aiding the communities to create a sustainable livelihood. The Sister Protected Area Network was established by Mexico, Canada, and the United States. These are 13 protected areas throughout these 3 countries that are used for monitoring habitat conservation, research, and environmental education, with a mutual agreement to share information about monarch preservation. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services has proposed to list the monarch butterfly as a threatened species. It has also been engaging with tribes, conservation groups, and state and federal agencies to increase their natural habitats.
The Natural Resource Conservation Service works with agricultural producers in the United States by offering financial assistance for landowners to manage a monarch habitat, which includes planting milkweed. Community involvement is key in monarch conservation. Farmers are encouraged to switch to pollinator-friendly land management practices, such as reducing how much pesticide they use and maintaining milkweed. Indigenous communities, schools, and local organizations also contribute by planting milkweed and promoting public education on monarch biology and conservation needs. These coordinated efforts supports monarch conservation and help expand and maintain their habitat across North America. As climate change reshapes ecosystems, new conservation strategies for monarch butterflies are emerging. Climate models suggest that monarchs may shift farther north as temperatures rise. Canadian researchers are studying how the species could expand into newly suitable habitats. Scientists in Mexico are testing assisted migration by moving their fir trees into higher altitudes, so that the future generation will still have access to viable wintering forests. The future of the monarch butterfly is uncertain, but not hopeless. Populations have declined to historically low levels, prompting the IUCN 2022 to classify it as endangered. However, recent overwintering counts shows encouraging signs of recovery, with numbers nearly doubling in 2024 to 2025. Although they remain far below historical average. Together, these efforts show how international science and cooperation can adapt to protect monarchs in a changing climate. Scientists caution that without consistent annual funding and continued collaborative conservation efforts, monarch population may continue to decline.
The monarch butterfly futures depend on cooperation across borders. Canada alone cannot save this species, but by working with the United States and Mexico, a comprehensive strategy can be built. The monarch migration is a symbol of resilience and connection, reminding us that conservation is a shared responsibility. While the future is uncertain, the combination of habitat restoration, community involvement, and scientific reason offers hope. Every garden, every field, and every schoolyard can become part of the monarch migration map. The future of this species depends not only on the government and scientists, but also on the choice of every individual. Restoring native plants, reducing chemical use, and educating young people can be as impactful as international policies. When farmers leave a strip of wildflowers, when schools plant pollinator gardens, and when cities protect green spaces, they create lifelines of these butterflies. Conservation is not a heroic act performed by experts. It is a shared effort where countless small actions form one powerful movement. The monarch wings carry a message. Nature thrives when we act together.
The monarch butterfly is far more than just a symbol of beauty. Its journey reflects the condition of the ecosystems we all depend on. Their migration is carried across generations and thousands of kilometers and depends entirely on delicate ecological rhythms that are rapidly shifting. As milkweeds disappear, climates warm, and habitats change, the monarch's decline warns us that entire ecosystems are under pressure. Yet the monarch's journey offers hope to the future, showing what is possible when nations, communities, and individuals work together, from reforestation efforts in Mexico to habitat restoration across Canada and the United States. Conservation is evolving into a coordinated, continental effort. Scientists, landowners, indigenous communities, and volunteers are demonstrating that through sustained collaborative action, we can restore habitats and create a more resilient future for both monarchs and the ecosystems they inhabit. Their outlook depends entirely on the choices we make today. By safeguarding their journey, we can not only protect a remarkable species, but the health of the world around us.